Okay, can we start? Yes. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today we have one of the panels that I about another topic that I really love, which is about education in Bitcoin. And we have like really masters, stars from this side here with me. So let's start with introductions. We have here Sharon replacing Lorraine, but talking about like your work and BTC data. So maybe I like to start this like in fact like asking how you started with the education and introducing yourself, how you started, and what is your project?
Hi, my name is Sharon Murugi. I am a proud Bitcoin dada, graduated the fourth cohort. Apart from that, I am the communications officer for btrust builders. Quite ironic that we are here, but so yeah, I actually started in the shitcoin space, if you can if you can call it that. So yeah, I actually had went to a hackathon, and one of the judges was like, "Want to implement blockchain in your product?" I was like, "What is blockchain?" So I got into the rabbit hole of the research and all, and that's how I found myself going to community meetups. There are quite a lot in Nairobi, Kenya. Mostly went there for the food, but stayed for the knowledge. So yeah, that's when I got started. That was in 2022, late September. Um, so yeah, the opportunity to join Bitcoin Dada came up last year, and I was like, I might as well, because I've never really dug deep into one subject. It was always like a little bit of everything. So I wanted to take a deep dive, and that's where Bitcoin Dada came in. So far, it has been an awesome journey. I'm learning, still learning. I think the more you learn, the more you're like, you don't know a lot. So yeah, it's been an awesome journey. So what Bitcoin Dada does is educating women across Africa. Hopefully, we'll move out of Africa soon, but yeah. So we educate and empower women, because it's not just about getting the knowledge on Bitcoin, but also how to apply it. Also getting mentorship, and I think the Dada here can attest that it has been quite the journey.
Amazing.
Yes, thank you. Yes, my name is Anita Posh. I'm a Bitcoin educator. I started learning about Bitcoin myself in early 2017. And I was looking for a new field of work for myself, which also, I was coming from web design and e-commerce, and I wanted to find something that truly makes sense and brings, like, lets me contribute to a better world, basically. So, and from that on, my main interest and focus in that world, because I understood very early how Bitcoin can level up, especially people who are like on the edges, I would say, on the fringes, yeah. And my goal was to support that movement in a way. And also I realized how Bitcoin actually enforces human rights. And so that's the focus of my work. In early 2020, I went the first time to Zimbabwe to do Bitcoin education there. And then I founded a non-profit initiative called Bitcoin for Fairness. And the goal of Bitcoin for Fairness has been to level up those communities. And I had my boots on the ground, as people like to say, at least 1.5 years in different African countries. And I'm very happy to say that have now an independent Bitcoin for Fairness branch in Zambia. After 3 years, I finally found a really great guy in Zimbabwe who will take on that as well. I'm very happy to say I connected a lot of people in Africa, and finally last year we launched Crack the Orange, which is on one hand a train-the-trainer program for dadas, for instance, who are interested in learning more, and also for other aspiring Bitcoin educators and community builders in the Global South. They can apply for a scholarship. And it's also for people who are not going to be educators but just want to learn for themselves. It's also an online course program.
Wow, thank you. That was great. Like, you guys are making me feel like I don't do enough. So my name is Oken, also known as Nikolai Sharo. That's my real name. I am a Bitcoin miner, educator, Bitcoin maximalist. And yeah, when I got into Bitcoin or into Bitcoin education, it was more of a falling into something. Somebody was trying to orange pill me since 2012. When I was in China in 2016, Ethereum was the big craze. All of those times I didn't listen. 2018 came, and I had a use case. 2018, 2019, when COVID actually hit, I was running a consumer insights and marketing research company and doing voiceovers and all of that. But it's COVID, it's lockdown. Nobody's going anywhere, so I couldn't do any of that. I still had recording equipment because I am a musician by trade. And then what I did was I created a podcast, and I became the first podcaster in Africa to be paid in Bitcoin. And from that, I said, if I can get paid, how can I assist other Namibians to get paid? Not only during COVID, but in general. And to do that, I'd have to educate myself on what is Bitcoin. Because if I go out and I try to tell you this thing can give you keys to your own kingdom, or it can show you how economic emancipation works, you're going to ask me questions. I need to be able to answer those questions and not just repeat what I read, but I need to be able to answer it as if I understand it. So in doing that, I was like, the only way to do that is if I understand it. So as I went through the process of learning about Bitcoin, I said, I need to teach my people about Bitcoin so that they can empower themselves. And the thing is, when the Bitcoin first came to Namibia, it was all, give me your money and I will invest for you. I will show you how I can do this. Whereas my approach was, if I die tomorrow, you should still be able to use Bitcoin. And that's how I came into Bitcoin education, was to say, this is something where Namibians don't have to play catch up. We can lead if you want to learn the way. And I really think that is why Bitcoin education across Africa is so powerful, because it allows you to realize economic emancipation without somebody else giving it to you. So thank you.
Very well said.
Yes. And I asked for you guys to introduce yourselves, but I didn't introduce myself. So my name is Ranata. I'm head of marketing and communities for FETI. I've been working with Bitcoin for 5 years. And it's interesting because I don't know if you guys noticed the same as well. So in my previous job, I always tell this story that I was orange pilled by people that used Bitcoin. And I was super lucky by that. But I noticed to the places that I would go, like in the Western, and I had to educate them too about how people use Bitcoin actually. And for me, it was interesting because when I started to learn about it, I had the feeling, I think the key here is not about selling a product, is tell about how Bitcoin can help you. And right now, I don't know if you guys noticed as well, like in 21, 22, more or less there, we start to having like influencers becoming educators too, showing how the importance of education start to grow in Bitcoin. And with that, I was seeing as well in Africa a lot of false educators, and these made a lot of difficult for truth educators, truth projects to move. How are you guys been working around this situation in the country?
There'll always be, especially with the bull market coming, with the halving and everything, there will be a lot of people coming up, especially those who tell you which coins to buy, whatnot. But I think once you have the fundamental or the basic knowledge, it's not. I think Femi. I've stayed with Femi so much that his words are stuck in my head. He always pushes for utility. It's not always about trading or buying buying low, selling high. It's not always about that. But once you show what something does, I think that will override any influencers or whatever, because this bull market is not here to stay. And you'll find that those people that get in during this time will get very disappointed, and then they'll be like, Bitcoin is a scam. This whole thing is a scam, because they got in during this time, and to be honest, the rest of the 4 years will be hard. Those are the building years, right? This is where you find projects that are genuine last. So community is important as well, because it's sort of like a support structure, but also a space where you get to learn. And as we say, we need products to be built by Africans. Oh my God, I'm becoming a mini Femi.
I'm saying that too. I have been saying that for years. Everyone. I think these people here are all saying that. We're all coming from the perspective of how Bitcoin is a tool for your life, and not only like thinking I can get rich quick. You can't. I mean, if you stay in for the long term, that's a great feeling, trust me. But you need to be able to go through the down, and suffer, and you will learn, and it's great. But I think, also in my experience, scammers are really awful, and also influencers who sell you some altcoins which will go up. I have people coming to me all the time telling me, yeah, Bitcoin is fine, but I'm in crypto because I can make so much more in short time. But they don't tell you how much they have lost in short time. And I'm just there and telling them, yeah, I don't do that like that, I mean, I can't help you if you don't want to listen to me. And on the other hand, it's a constant wave of scammers and influencers who try to sell something. And I think we are powerless against that. It's so sad, but people will get burned. You can only be there and offer your knowledge. And the people who want to have it, they can have it, of course. And I'm happy to give it. But I have to tell you, I also, as you said, communities on the ground with trusted people is the most important thing. You need to trust the people. It's don't verify. No, don't trust, verify. But you have to trust. Who's verifying? Who is verifying, exactly. So just an example, we have this community in Zambia with meetups. I was there like 4 times, I think, myself. And we had a scammer coming in from Tanzania. So there's a guy from Tanzania scamming people on our meetup. And the compagnon he found, it's funny, but it's not so funny, because his compagnon from Zambia, he is in jail now for that. And the Tanzanian guy is scamming people in Tanzania right now. So there's a new community in Tanzania with a guy I'm in contact in. He's from the US, so from the West. That's also a typical thing that's happening. People set up, they say they do their own meetups, make pictures, use pictures from other academies, and scam foreigners into sending donations. And these people, I have these tactics. They change their username on Twitter, and then then someone on Twitter says, no, I worked with him, he's a good guy. So that's really horrible. I really have to say that, and I encounter it all the time. And I think the only thing that we can do is build trusted networks of people also. And that's why I always say connect with your peers that you meet on conferences. Watch them. I mean, I'm seeing your tweets. I know I've been seeing them for 3-4 years. We follow each other, and you can see. By the way, what people are tweeting, how they are tweeting, what's the work they are doing. Don't do it because you just see one picture of someone posting something. But then you even have this one guy. He was then doing the social media thing for that initiative in Tanzania. So you tend to believe that's legit, yeah. So be careful. And as I said, I mean, we're here. Trust the people you have met and watched a long time.
Yes, I fully agree, especially on that last part of look at the people for time. If they've only been tweeting about Bitcoin for 3 months, why would you take what this person's saying seriously, right? So I think for me, there, as Anita said, there's always going to be scammers. There's always going to be somebody that sees an opportunity to take advantage of somebody for something. But as I always tell people, nobody creates a scam of something that doesn't have value. The reason it's the truth. Like, if you think about it, the reason you have forex scammers is because banks do forex. They've always done like foreign exchange. So forex isn't the scam. The person you're giving the money to is the scam, right? They're telling you, I'm going to trade forex for you. Same thing with Bitcoin scammers. Yeah, give me your money. I will go and buy the Bitcoin. I will trade the Bitcoin and I'll show you your profits. And that's why I tell people, if I die tomorrow, you should still be able to use Bitcoin because it's not dependent on one person. Now, for me, the thing about how you circumvent scammers is two ways. I'm a very confrontational person. I'm loud. I don't know how to whisper. So I go to bars and I argue with people about Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin's a scam. I'll argue with you for 3 hours. And then I'll buy you a beer in Bitcoin because the bar accepts Bitcoin. So that's the first way. If people can see that they can spend the thing, how is it a scam? I'm spending it, they're accepting it, you got to drink for free or eat for free. That's done. That's the first way. The second way is public displays of proof of work. As Anita said, if you've been following somebody for 4 years, you see them orange pilling people, paying for burgers, paying for their plane ticket to this conference, even like I did in Bitcoin. You start saying, okay, maybe it's not a scam because that guy gets paid in Bitcoin, he's paying for things in Bitcoin, he's buying his mother food in Bitcoin. Now I can see. So it's about showing people more than telling them that it's not a scam. It's about showing them it's not a scam by you publicly doing it. And I know not everybody can do that. Some people want to be, anonymous within Bitcoin, which is totally your right. But I think for adoption to move in a way that can be trusted to a certain degree, people have to show them doing exactly what I just explained.
So there is like these discussions around like the right way to educate people, right? Oh, you go and show to them how to use. There are like people say, no, you need to explain why Bitcoin is important. I would love to hear from you guys and strategies that you guys been using that you found very effective in Africa. That you could share, with someone that is listening and wants to implement in their communities as well.
What I've seen work is, events. Events definitely go a long way. But apart from that, also going to the people on the ground. Like Bitcoin Dada hosts financial literacy classes. So you're not only learning about Bitcoin, but you're also learning how to become financially sovereign. So again, it's not about the coin itself or the trading bit, but it's about the utility. So how can Bitcoin assist me in my day-to-day life? How can I save for the future? So when people see this, they obviously, get some interest. Some people don't care, and that's okay. You can only give the knowledge. Actually, that's one of the frustrations with orange peeling, because you're like, but this is the way. But like, no, I want to go the other way. So yeah, you can only offer the knowledge. But apart from that, btrust Builders has a program, a nomad program, where developers go to different developer groups. So they teach, like, let's say they have a GDSC event, they go there, speak about Bitcoin development, opportunities in the space as well, and how to get into that. So you have to reach out to the people. So whether it's through social media, physically, you can't be walking. We actually did that about 2 days ago. We were just walking around the market, and we started a conversation, and we were wearing our Bitcoin Dada t-shirts, and the market guy was like, oh, so what's this? So we started that whole story, and they ended up opening a Machankura account. Yeah, so it's simple conversations. Also, people, as Okin said earlier, if people see you doing something, they'll be interested. It might not take one day or a few hours, but over time, they'll catch some interest. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm traveling a lot. I'm doing education in many different countries with, of course, different people with different problems. But in general, the needs and the problems that people have with money, with traditional money, are quite the same. So nonetheless, I usually start, if I'm inviting to a workshop or a talk, a little bit about the background of Bitcoin and speak specifically to the needs of the people in that country. I mean, in Zimbabwe, for instance, it's easy to say there will never be hyperinflation or inflation in Bitcoin. The volatility of Bitcoin is less than your volatility, hyperinflation, the value you lose can ever be. And then usually I also present or show how you can buy something like with Bitrefill. Or we also used Machankura in Zambia and things like that. So I think it's important to specifically speak to the needs of the people and yes, the utility of Bitcoin, and also to show the uniqueness to compared to altcoins, because many people still want to trade and that's their first interest. And then I think you need to give them time, and you very soon find out who's really interested, and also has like more that platonic ideal that you have in, or what you see in Bitcoin. And I think for me it was always also the goal, as Okin said, to identify people in the countries who can take on the education and the sharing of the knowledge, because I think that's the most important, that people empower themselves and their communities. And so I'm very happy you will find out those who are capable and also willing, because I stopped, sometimes I stopped giving Bitcoin to people, because very often they are not interested after that, and I'm just like, wow, I spent now these sats, I wasted my sats or my donors, our donors sats, on that. But other than that, yeah, I think that's the way.
I fully agree with Anita. I think for me, the best way I found is not to go to people with a mindset. So meet the people where they are and have a conversation has been the best way that I've found to orange pill somebody. Talk to them like a normal conversation, and then find out what is their pain point. Most of the time it's a point of sale machine, which always works best when it comes to Bitcoin. It's like, oh, okay. But conversations allow you to discover and connect with that person on more of a personal level than you just pitching something to them, right? So I go to them with, let's have a convo, let's talk about, forget Bitcoin first, let's just talk about, these prices that these banks are charging us and all these things, just a normal conversation. And that leads into Bitcoin, because I'm like, there's a solution for that, right? Like today, you can solve this problem. How? No, Bitcoin. But isn't that a scam? Okay, let's talk about it. And again, I like to do this at bars because beers are cheap, and you can buy chips or whatever. And then the people are like, oh, I can actually spend this right now. Like Anita said, if I can tell you, okay, here's some Bitcoin, here's 5 Rand. And then I show you how to buy use that 5 Rand to buy 5 Rand Vodacom, you now have to be like, oh, okay, there's a link here. And then you can go further. And then just to emphasize what Anita was saying, I learned that some people just don't like Oken. It's not that they don't like Bitcoin. They don't like Oken. So if you can educate people to a point where they can then go and further that education with other people, then it becomes, the problem isn't the message, it's the messenger. So just spread the message with other messengers. And in that way, you're able to reach more people. That's what I've found, at least. So even if they don't like me, they might like Anita. And then Anita goes and speaks to that guy, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'll accept Bitcoin. I like the way Anita said it, and I don't like the way Oken said it. So it's really about a conversation, meeting people where they are instead of where you want them to be, and also remembering that most of us were shitcoiners at the beginning, so allow people to pay their school fees, don't interrupt them, and then allow them to graduate to the next level like everybody else gave us the grace to. I think that's very important for Bitcoiners to see.
And I think also one thing what's very important, maybe especially for Bitcoin Twitters, for Bitcoiners on Twitter, I like to stay respectful to people and not push my ideologies about Bitcoin onto them, because then they run away. I mean, that's, yeah.
And there is like something very interesting as well, which is the countries that being flourishing education. For some people, it's like out of the blue, but there is like a strong bottom up work before that. Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So do you guys see? I don't know. By walking around and talking, could you identify like some countries that you see like, oh, I don't know, Nigeria, Kenya, you know, like, oh, South Africa, I don't know, that you see like, oh, these countries, they kind of are flourishing for education, and in the same way you see a progress on the Bitcoin side, or if you see any story that exemplify these stories.
Well, I think my country. We have our. There was an article that I was reading, and it said that saving your money in USD as opposed to Kenyan shillings would have earned you more than any government bond would have earned the entire year. Which is crazy because that's how much we are losing our currency value. So when you come with a solution, like Oken said, when you have a conversation around the hyperinflation that's happening, the uncertainty that's there, because who knows, you're being paid the same amount of money. It's not like employers will be like, oh, there's inflation, let's let's increase your salary. That doesn't really happen. So how can you best protect yourself? So when people see a solution, they'll definitely go for it. So I think the countries worst hit by inflation will definitely be very forward in the adoption and education as well, because this is a solution. We need it. It's not that it's, something that we can, throw our money in. So Kenya is definitely on the lead, Nigeria as well. I don't know about other countries. Maybe Uganda. Yeah, and the billionaires, Zimbabwe.
Sorry?
No, I was saying in Uganda, we're all technically, depending on how much sats you have. So it's one sat to one Ugandan shilling. Actually, one sat is worth more than one Ugandan shilling. So a lot of you guys are already millionaires if you go to Uganda.
So I've been to Ghana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and South Africa. I can speak to that. And from these countries, I see South Africa definitely as the pioneering country. This might be because technology, there's the most load shedding, but still, I guess internet and technology is the furthest here, maybe. Yeah. Zambia for me is the next because, of course, of my personal Bitcoin for Fairness experience. And Zimbabwe is interesting because you might think with all the inflation the people have there, they will use Bitcoin en masse, I personally know a lot of people who use it, like as a store of value, of course. And there are also a lot of traders, and they also grew the market in Bitcoin basically from 2020 on immensely, because people were realizing also during the pandemic, what do I do now? Okay, I could use Bitcoin. But a lot of people are also, actually more people are using USDT as a medium of exchange, because of course they know the value of the US dollar, despite the fact that its purchasing power is going down too. But compared to the Zimbabwean dollar, it's very stable. And so for that, they want the properties and the possibilities you have with cryptocurrency. But they rather use USDT because they are scared to lose in the value in Bitcoin when Bitcoin is going down. So there's a lot going on, but there's also, you never know in Zimbabwe with the restrictions and people, I know a case, a lady we've helped with to get donations in Bitcoin for her school. And she then bought computers for the children in the school because they didn't have that. And a few weeks later, the computers were stolen. And a few days later, the police came to arrest her. and question her, where's that money from? So I always say to people, be careful if you're using Bitcoin in Zimbabwe. Don't talk too much about it. So I think there's a lot of use, but we just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay, education-wise, I'm gonna agree with Kenya. I was there last year and I saw just how much people were. What is this thing? Like, tell me about it. Like, it wasn't a thing where you really have to go out and try to force Bitcoin onto people, or pitch it to them. They want to know. So for me, when I saw that in Kenya, just walking around, I was like, this is insane. Like that, because again, from Namibia, I'm basically pulling teeth, trying to get people to understand what Bitcoin is. And in Kenya, they're like, please pull my teeth. So, so I think Kenya is definitely at the forefront for me in that. I do agree, South Africa has a bit of a head start, especially when it comes to like the adoption of technologies and stuff like that, and trying things out. But Kenya is just very inquisitive about Bitcoin. As far as it goes in a Namibian context, I'm starting to see after 3 years of continuously talking about Bitcoin publicly, now people are calling me, hey, Mr. Bitcoin, can we sit? They're really calling me. They're not even calling me Oken. They're calling me Mr. Bitcoin now. Mr. Bitcoin, can we sit down for a talk, or can we? And I'm like, the whole of last year, I did only free consultations. This year, I'm charging, because again, Namibians, if you give them something for free, they feel it's a scam. So I was like, okay, I'll charge you guys. But here's the thing that I like to show people when I talk in Namibia, and I think that's why a lot of them are calling me now. Last year, the 13th of January, I put out a tweet saying, forget what you heard, pay me in Bitcoin. And I was like, for voiceovers, this is my price. For 30-minute consultations, this is the price. But I only put up the Satoshi amounts. At the time, it was like 1,000 Rand for an hour consultation. That was 530-something thousand Satoshis at the point in time. Fast forward to last week when I checked, somebody put up the tweet and I re-looked at it and I was like, what is that amount in today's terms? Right? So that 1,000 that I would have earned last year, the same, because I don't change my Satoshi amount. My Satoshi amount stays the same. That's 4,000 Rand today. So just a year later, by keeping the same charging amount, right? I didn't change my rate. What changed is how much you have to pay me in fiat terms if you don't pay me in Bitcoin. I 4x'd my income just by using Bitcoin. So when you show somebody that and you say, look, here's last year's tweet, this was the amount, here's this one, this is how much last year a liter of petrol cost in this month, this is how much it cost this year, and this is how much it costs in Bitcoin. You show them that, there's no more conversation. So like, I think Kenya gets it because their currency is also not as strong as a lot of other countries, but they see that M-Pesa's there, so there's a linkage that you can do to say, hey, but I don't even have to pay those fees, I can just do that. So yeah, I think Bitcoin education in Africa is definitely on the tick up, but I think Bitcoin data is also a very important driving force in that in Kenya, because as I say, if you educate a woman, you educate a village. So Bitcoin data, I think, is doing well at that.
Yes, good job, guys. So you 4x, but at least you don't say, I'm driving a Lamborghini. I think that's an error that Bitcoiners have been done too, right? Like this false idea that you're going to become millionaire out of the blue. So everything looks amazing, but let's face the difficulties, right? Like we already spoke about the government a little bit. Anita was explaining not the government, that the institutions, that the risks that you can have. We spoke about the scammers. What else you guys seeing? Like funding. I want just point out, because I would love to hear from you guys as well. Anita and I, we were talking yesterday, the difficulty of sometimes you introduce a product as a tool, but it's not because you are earning anything from the product, but you are putting your trust on this product, right? Because you review it, looks like legit, and then suddenly the project is a scam or something like that. So you guys also have a strong risk on your trust around this. So could you go over all these difficulties to sell it in a short term?
I think with orange peeling, especially, there's always that volatility risk, because up and down, because someone will ask you, hey, I put 1,000 shillings yesterday, why is it 500? And you look like the bad person, but it's like, you try to explain, and I think education really just solves that. But there's also, people are saving for retirement or something. So seeing your money, do the things, it can give you a heart attack. But apart from that, there's also that regulatory uncertainty, because in Kenya, for example, actually we're doing really well, because like the Blockchain Association of Kenya was like prompted to draft a bill that will sort of classify digital assets and sort of make a way to either taxing them, and but apart from the regulatory uncertainty, there's also the risk of the products going down. But I think hostility is one of the challenges that we face, especially as dadas, because safety, not everyone might take this, especially if you had a bad experience. If someone went and invested your money, and then you come and tell me about Bitcoin, I will be, so apart from the hostility, but I think Kenyans have been very welcoming. Plus there's a lot of pushing in Kenya. You get it from Felix, Guantai. So there's a lot of people pushing for education. So it's not just a one-man team. It's a lot happening. Actually, I hate to say this, but WorldCoin in Kenya did push for adoption, because people were lining up, like literally lining up to like go see, get free money, ideally. So once they get that, then they're like, so what is WorldCoin? Those that are curious, at least. And then you're like, oh, but there's WorldCoin, but have you met Bitcoin? So that was also like another avenue to sort of introduce the whole thing.
There are a lot of things actually that you have to cope with, to be honest. Like I was called a neo-colonialist by German guys on Twitter because I have the Bitcoin Ikasi logo on my book. A black fist by a book by a white woman. Oh my God. Not understanding that I'm actually trying to lift up everyone and I'm a sister, And so the next thing, for me as an educator, I started a little bit also as a podcaster, and I had companies sponsoring my work because I had to find money. I had to earn Bitcoin and live from something. And then when I could afford to not do that anymore, I thought, I still need to pay for my costs, but I switched on to donations and grants. Because I think one of the most important things as an educator is to stay neutral. Also for the reasons you said before, Renata, like companies who might support you, you find them at that moment in time, they are doing right for your values, in your Bitcoin values, and suddenly they change and they add a shitcoin to their portfolio or do whatever. And I also don't want to support, like, for getting paid to pay to play, basically, to tell people, use this wallet, use that wallet. How can I make Lightning self-custody wallet tests when I'm paid by one of those, I couldn't. And so I think as an educator, it's really important to stay independent. And also what's also very challenging for me always is which wallet or what do I recommend now? I started using, saying to people, this might change. This technology is still early. You might need to use another wallet next year. And that's why it's also very important to me. And I say to everyone, please sign up to my free newsletter. Please stay in touch with me. If you have a question, ask me, write an email, because it's so important to stay in contact with the people you shared your knowledge with, because if something changes, like the Blue Wallet, they deprecated the Lightning accounts from basically one day to the other. I onboarded people to that. And then you can't send them an email and say, now get your money out, install a new wallet, you know. So that's why I always say, please stay in contact with me. Yeah.
No, perfect point, Anita. Like that is the blue wallet one I had to explain to a couple of people. I think there are a lot of challenges to get directly to it. There's a lot of challenges when it comes to Bitcoin education, but most of them I think also stem from a little bit of fear from the Bitcoiner side. I remember when I started publicly speaking about, accepting Bitcoin for my goods and services, and I'll show you guys how to do it for, how you can earn Bitcoin, you don't have to buy it and all that. People were like, yeah, but the government's going to come speak to you. I was like, let them come speak. Because the government is made up of people. We are people. If we do not engage, I always tell people, I cannot fault you for doing something wrong if I could have taught you how to do it right and I didn't teach you. That is my fault. So if the government goes and puts up crypto laws that don't make sense for Bitcoiners, and I had the opportunity to go and speak to them to make sure it could be better, and I didn't, that's my fault. So luckily for me, I didn't have to be the one doing it in Namibia. The guy that Orange pulled me, he actually got the first license from the Central Bank of Namibia to be able to be an on-off ramp. He went and sat in on every one of the meetings to say, no. Bitcoin's different than these ones. So literally in our virtual asset service provider law that Namibia passed in July last year, Bitcoin is seen as separate from other coins. They're all called virtual assets, but they see it as differently. Bitcoin mining is free. You can go do it as long as you're not holding custody of other people's coins. So this is a Bitcoiner going and saying, I'm not going to just let them write what they want to. I'm going to go sit and argue with them about it. You have the right. You are a citizen. But not in every, as you said, there are countries where you will go to jail. You will go to jail. So you have to be cognizant of where you're having these conversations. But being scared isn't going to help us reach our goals. Hiding and hoping that somebody else is going to come and somehow magically Jesus is going to tell them, no, please do this rather. It's not going to work that way. So even with the challenges that we all face, with the scammers, the only way is to put your foot down and say, you know what, I'm going to take a stand. I'll be the sacrificial lamb if that's what it takes, so that my friends, my family, and the rest of them are able to benefit from this. So I really do think challenges are there in anything, but like anything in life, if it's worth doing, you will overcome those challenges. And I think Bitcoiners just need to see it from that aspect. Don't see it as a challenge, see it as an opportunity to prove somebody wrong. And that could work.
So we are running out of time, but I can't avoid to ask this question that probably you listen a lot of times. Why you still do this? Why?
I don't know either. But for me, I see the future. I see the future in Bitcoin. Once you see the utility, especially with whatever's going on with around the world, I think this is my out. It might not come now, but I'm a very patient person, which sucks. But yeah, it is. And I think this is a call to action to the people here. The government, or the regulatory organizations, what they tend to do is ban before adopt. So I think it's also our job to sort of go and educate them, show them that that this is not a bad thing, because once they learn, actually that's what happened in Kenya. Now they were like, okay, now let's tax you. But yeah, I think it's our job to sort of put this information out there. People might take it, people might not. That's okay, but you've done your part. So whoever takes it, joins the ark, and soon the flooding will come, and you'll be sailing.
I don't hope that the flooding will come because I think not enough people have used Bitcoin yet before the flooding comes. We need more. And why am I doing it still? I mean, because I believe it's really the tool, the one tool that can level up humanity in a way. And I feel an obligation in a way to contribute to that. And because wherever I go and I see people start using it, I see how like their lives are getting better. And how can you stop doing that? I mean, it's actually a little bit like a drug, to be honest, for me. It gets you up and it breaks you down sometimes really hard. But it's exciting, and I think it's so important as a utility to fulfill the necessities of so many people worldwide, and especially the people on the fringes who have less at the moment, less rights, less power. And as a feminist, I gotta say, Bitcoin Data, I love everything that they do. And as such, yes.
Oh, it's my turn. Again, love everything Bitcoin Data is doing, really, truly. So for me, why do I still do it? Sounds kind of cliche, but like Bitcoin basically almost saved my life in a type of way. I never used to save money. I used to spend every last dollar because I could die tomorrow, so like let me spend the money. But for me, 2018 was the first time I went into a new year, or 2019 to 2020, sorry, with money, because I saved it in Bitcoin, and I started the year not broke, and I was like, this is a great feeling. I want other people to feel this. Like economic emancipation is different from somebody showing you how to make money, right? For me, economic emancipation is when I give you the knowledge to discover how you can make money for yourself or how you can live. And Bitcoin allows that. So for me, I still do this because firstly, Africans were always like the last to get an opportunity when it comes to global things that are allowed, even just, something as simple as Timberland boots. If most people don't know this, but Timberland boots makes an A and a B, right? And the A goes to America, Europe, and some parts of Asia. The B goes to Africa and the rest of Asia. Yes. So you get different grades even just in shoes. Bitcoin says we're all the same. And I always tell people, look, Elon Musk can buy as much Bitcoin as he has or wants to, but he can't stop you from buying it. That's economic emancipation. Elon Musk can buy a lot of miners, but it's the same thing as him buying 20,000 lottery tickets, you buying one. Doesn't mean he's going to win. He might have a better chance because he has more tickets, but he might not have the numbers. So Bitcoin really levels everything to say, hey guys, we have the same opportunity, right? Yes, you can buy more Bitcoin, but I can earn it. So there are things that we can do with Bitcoin that we can't do with anything else. And for me, not exposing this to my people would be a disservice to them, my family members, and everybody I know. And I would not want to be that person that could have helped, get people to a place where they are really, really free. And I just didn't. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for this panel, but more than that, for the work that you guys been doing. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.